Welcome to Mission Control Houston, where the Expedition 26 crew aboard the International Space Station is being monitored by a team of flight controllers led by Flight Director David Korth. Today, a relatively busy day for the International Space Station crew as they get ready for a Russian spacewalk tomorrow, as well as the launch and arrival of a Japanese cargo craft and for the departure of a Russian cargo craft. Today, as mentioned on console, David Korth is the flight director leading the team, and Mike Engel and Rob Hayhurst are the spacecraft communicators talking with the crew. Right now, they are monitoring activities with the robotic systems on board the International Space Station as Katie Coleman and Paolo Nespoli continue a maneuvering practice session using Canadarm2, also known as the Space Station Remote Manipulator System. They are practicing the motions they'll be using to grapple the HTV-2 or Kanatori-2 spacecraft that's scheduled to launch from Tanegashima, Japan on tomorrow night Central Time at 11:37, almost 11:38 p.m., which is about 2:37 p.m. Japan time on Saturday. They're using a fixed grapple fixture on the side of pressurized mating adapter number 2 to perform these practice sessions using this grapple fixture as a stand-in for the Kanatori 2 spacecraft's grapple fixture. Robotics Officer Laura Lucian, who's leading the preparations for the HTV, is carefully monitoring these activities on orbit, and the crew is going over the practice sessions, repeating the steps several different times. They've already had about 3 different onboard training sessions in which they were using simulated graphics to practice the maneuvers. This is a specially requested session by the team to actually maneuver the arm and practice the activities, and they have a couple of more onboard graphic-only training sessions planned prior to the actual grapple. Meanwhile, Commander Scott Kelly set up and conducted a full review of the upcoming Russian EVA-27 timeline with all members of the crew, with the exception of Katie Coleman, who was off doing EarthCam activities this morning. They ran through the timeline very carefully. The 2 spacewalkers, Commander of Expedition 27, Dmitry Kondratyev, who's getting ready to make his first spacewalk, and Flight Engineer Oleg Skropochka did some final preparations of their spacesuits and equipment, making sure that they're all set up and ready for the spacewalk. They filled their drink bags and installed them into the Orlan MK spacesuits that they'll wear for the spacewalk, and that all went very well. Otherwise, the 2 spacewalkers are getting half a day off to rest up and relax prior to the spacewalk tomorrow. The spacewalk is scheduled to begin at 8:20 a.m. Central Time. It will begin our NASA television coverage at 8 a.m. Central Time. The goal of the spacewalk is to remove a couple of experiments from outside the Russian Zvezda service module. One of them a materials experiment that looks at how things fare over long periods in space outside the space station. Another is a plasma generator that hasn't been working for quite some time. They're going to bring both of those back inside. They're going to install a new antenna and run cabling for a system that will allow high-rate data to be transmitted to the ground from the Russian segment of the space station, similar to the systems that's used on the NASA side of the station. And they'll also be installing a camera on one of the newest docking modules for the space station, the Rosviet or MRM-1, Mini Research Module 1, so that it can help with Soyuz and Progress dockings to that module. Also on tap today is final work to prepare for the undocking of the Progress 40 spaceship. That's scheduled for Sunday night at 6:43 p.m. Central Time from the Piers docking compartment, the same area that will be the exit point for the spacewalkers. It's going to be loaded up with trash and deorbited with a deorbit burn on Sunday at 11:16 p.m. Central Time. That will carry it through a fiery re-entry and destruction through the Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. Some minor activities also going on related to scientific work today, but it's been a very busy week for that earlier in the week. And so just a few cleanup activities with the integrated cardiovascular experiment today on the space station. That is a look at how the heart tends to weaken in long duration stays in space. And it is expected to be very important for future exploration farther away from the Earth, and possibly helpful in the treatment of folks who on the ground go through long periods of bed rest or inactivity. Right now, the International Space Station orbiting about 220 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean, about to cross over the western coast of Africa in a southeasterly direction. And the crew continues its work with robotic training operations, getting ready for the arrival of Konnautori 2 and all of the cargo and supplies that are going to be installed on the outside of the space station and inside the space station after Konnautori 2 is berthed to the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module. This is Mission Control Houston.